What if the reason you keep losing is because you're still waiting for permission to win? Most people never realize this. They live their whole lives obeying invisible rules, hoping the world will eventually reward them for being good, patient, or humble. But the truth is brutal. Power doesn't recognize hope. It respects leverage. The moment you ask for permission, you declare yourself less than the person you're asking it from. And that's the first place the game starts to turn against you. You've been taught to play fair, to wait your turn, to stay grateful for scraps. But fairness is not a rule. It's a story, one that keeps you obedient while others rewrite the rules in their favor. If you want the game to shift instantly, stop pretending it will shift itself. There is no referee. There is no rescue. The people winning aren't better than you. They're just playing a different game. A game where hesitation is punished and boldness is rewarded. Where silence is strength and waiting is weakness. This is not about being ruthless. It's about waking up. You're not stuck because you lack talent. You're stuck because you've accepted terms that insult your potential. You've convinced yourself that being small will keep you safe. But safety doesn't exist in a world where power decides everything. And every time you silence your instincts to be polite, you trade your freedom for approval. That's the cost. That's the trap. And it ends the moment you make one decision: to stop shrinking, to stop seeking, to stop waiting for someone else to open the door. You are the door. Act like it. The world doesn't change for you. It responds to you. It reflects your energy. So if you carry yourself like someone hoping to be noticed, you'll be overlooked. But the second you decide to walk, speak, and move like someone who deserves, everything starts to shift. People sense it. Environments shift around it. Resistance folds in front of it. This is the switch. This is the line you cross. When you step out of fear and into intention, you stop reacting and start creating. And the game tilts instantly. You don't need more time. You don't need more advice. You need to stop asking for what you already have the right to claim. Power belongs to the one who stops waiting. And the moment you do, you stop being a piece on the board and start becoming the one who moves them. That shift doesn't take years. It takes a moment, one thought, one choice. One step in a new direction, that's all. The game doesn't favor the passive. It bends for the bold. And if you stay with this message till the end, you'll see exactly how to use that boldness to make them play your game on your terms. Starting now, they expect you to stay in character, to stay predictable, to stay manageable. That's how they keep you small, by counting on your compliance. The world around you is scripted, and whether you realize it or not, people have written a role for you to play. Quiet, doubtful, grateful, obedient. Every time you conform to those expectations, you give them control. You become easy to predict, easy to manipulate, easy to dismiss. And that's why the game keeps punishing you. Not because you're weak, but because you've never interrupted the script they handed you. So, the moment you disrupt that pattern, you make them uncomfortable. And that's where your leverage lives, in your unpredictability. The most powerful thing you can do is break character. Stay silent when they expect you to argue. Stand tall when they expect you to fold. Smile when they expect you to break. That small disruption sends a shock through the system. It forces them to question what they thought they knew about you. And when people no longer know what to expect from you, they lose their grip. They hesitate. They second guess. They play defense. And in that space, the balance of power tilts. You've spent too long trying to be understood, trying to be liked, trying to fit in. But power was never meant to fit in. It was meant to stand out, to disrupt, to reshape. And now it's your turn to become unrecognizable to the person they assumed you were. No warning, no apology, just a new standard, a new tone, a new energy that doesn't explain itself, doesn't wait for approval, and doesn't ask twice. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You are stepping out of the role they cast for you and into the role you were born to own. Psychologically, when you break a pattern, you force the brain to recalibrate. Obviously, you command attention without saying a word. That's the power of being unpredictable. It creates space. Space for you to lead. Space for them to react. Space for the dynamic to flip entirely. And that's when everything begins to change. When you no longer respond out of habit, but out of intention. When you stop playing by the script and start writing your own. This is not about theatrics. This is about transformation. If they can predict you, they can control you. So change your rhythm, change your energy, change your voice, your posture, your tone, not for them, but for you. Because the second you decide that your identity is not up for negotiation, your presence becomes a weapon. And they feel it. They see it in your eyes, hear it in your silence, sense it in your distance. You are no longer the version of yourself that they could play. And once you become that version, they don't know how to handle you. That's when the game bends. That's when the rules crack. And that's when you stop being a pawn and become the player they didn't see coming. It's not about what you do, it's about what they see. Your actions matter, but your image controls the outcome. Power doesn't move in silence alone, it moves through perception. If you don't control how others interpret you, they will define you in the way that serves them best. And once that happens, you're trapped inside a frame you didn't choose. The only way to break it is to master what they believe about you. Appear confident, even if you're calculating every step. Appear unbothered, even when the pressure is rising. Appear in control, especially when everything feels like chaos. Because the truth doesn't matter if the image is strong. People don't follow the most capable. They follow the one who looks certain. They obey the one who feels untouchable. Your appearance becomes your leverage. Walk like your presence is a statement. Speak like your words are final. Hold eye contact like you've already won. That energy writes the narrative for you, and once the narrative is yours, the rules are yours. You don't need to dominate everyone. You only need to dominate the perception. Power is psychological, and the person who controls the optics controls the direction. This is not about being fake. It's about being intentional. You're not pretending to be powerful. You're claiming it before the world gives you permission. Your confidence doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be undeniable. Your calm doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're unreadable. And unreadable people are dangerous. No one can prepare for what they don't understand. That fear, that uncertainty becomes your armor. It forces others to adjust to you, to tiptoe, to second guess. That's power, making others consider you before they move. You've been too easy to read, too transparent. Too quick to explain, to justify, to apologize. Every time you do, you give away ground, you shrink, you soften, but now you stop asking for understanding. You stop letting people decode you. You build mystery, you build presence, and in that silence, you build control. They start watching you closer. They start wondering what you're thinking. They start reacting to your energy. That's when the shift happens, not when you speak louder, but when your silence speaks for you. Your image must reflect your inner decision that you are not to be overlooked, that you are not available for disrespect. Your presence means the room changes. Carry yourself that way and the world will respond. Watch how people hesitate before interrupting you. Watch how they shift when you walk in. Not because you asked, because you became. No one can ignore what radiates certainty. No one can dominate what doesn't flinch. Own the way you're seen, or they'll define it for you. And once they define it, they will use it. But once you define it, they follow it. That is how you take control, by becoming the image they can't distort and the presence they can't forget. The one who hides their intentions always has the advantage. Power doesn't just come from strength. It comes from knowing more than you reveal and revealing less than you know. The mistake most people make is thinking they have to prove themselves. They speak too much, explain too often, and expose their strategy before it's ready. Every time you speak from need, you give away leverage. Every time you explain your plan, you give someone the power to ruin it. Control isn't loud. It's quiet, deliberate, unreadable. If they can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. That's the advantage you need to own. Every person you meet shows their weakness if you know where to look. Some reveal it through envy, others through the way they crave approval, some through their need to be right. Listen closely. Watch carefully. People leak information constantly. The way they talk, what they fear, what they repeat, what they defend. These are maps to their pressure points. And when you know where those points are, you never have to push hard. A whisper can shake them. A glance can destabilize them. You don't need to confront anyone directly. You only need to understand where they're fragile and let time do the rest. This is where your silence becomes dangerous. When you stop broadcasting your desires, when you stop needing to be seen, your presence becomes a mirror. People start revealing themselves to you without realizing it. They try to impress you, compete with you, outshine you, and in doing so, they expose everything you need to know. Their values, their fears, their blind spots. Let them talk. Let them perform. You don't need to interrupt. Their need for validation will tell you more than their words ever could. The less you react, the more they reveal. The less you explain, the more you control. That's how power works, through precision, not volume. It's not about being cold. It's about being strategic. You're not shutting the world out. You're tuning into it with sharper focus. You observe instead of engage. You influence without announcing it. You control without demanding it. That's not manipulation. That's awareness. And awareness is your greatest weapon. The world is filled with noise. The one who stays quiet owns the signal. When you become that signal, you shift from being influenced to being the influence. They can't prepare for a move they didn't see coming. They can't fight a battle you never show up for. While they swing wildly, you wait. While they overplay, you hold back. While they expose everything, you sit still and win without resistance. Let others waste their energy proving themselves. You stay composed. You stay focused. You stay unreadable. That's how you shift the power dynamic. Not with force, but with understanding. Not with exposure, but with restraint. And in that restraint, you rise above the game. You stop chasing control and become the force that silently holds it. You give away everything the moment you start chasing attention, chasing approval, chasing outcomes. The second you position yourself as the seeker, you lower your value. Power is not found in pursuit, it's found in position. The one who is pursued controls the terms. The one who waits to be chosen becomes optional. If you want the game to bend in your favor, you must stop running after what should already be drawn to you. This isn't about arrogance. It's about understanding your worth and refusing to let the world treat it like a bargain. You are not supposed to be accessible to everyone. You are not meant to be constantly available, constantly agreeable, constantly proving your worth. That posture weakens your presence. It tells people that your attention is cheap, your energy is unlimited, and your value depends on how well you serve their comfort. But the moment you flip the script, when you become the one who evaluates, the one who decides, the one who selects, everything changes. Suddenly they adjust. Suddenly they try harder, not because you demanded it, but because your absence created tension. And tension builds value. The human mind is wired to crave what is scarce and to doubt what is abundant. If you're always showing up, always explaining, always giving, people stop listening. They stop respecting. They start expecting. That's how value dissolves. So you have to pull back, not to punish, but to elevate, to reset the balance, to remind the world that your time, your presence, your energy are not free resources. They are earned, not with flattery, with alignment, with merit, with consistency. If someone wants access, let them rise to your level. Never drop to meet them at theirs. You must condition the world to see you as the prize. And that means holding yourself like one. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to demand recognition. You just need to walk in a way that tells the room you don't chase because you don't need to. That quiet confidence becomes magnetic. People sense when you're no longer trying to win them. They feel the shift. And in that shift, you become unforgettable. Being the prize doesn't mean being passive. It means being rooted, firm, focused. It means you no longer waste energy convincing others of your worth. You know it, you live it, you breathe it. You become so locked into your purpose that the noise fades. The distractions lose their pull. The wrong people fall away, and the right ones start reaching. You no longer knock on doors. You build the place others want to enter. You stop asking to be seen. You become the standard they measure against. That's the shift. When you hold your ground, the game doesn't just change, it changes for you. Because now you're no longer asking for a seat. You're building the table. Speed is a trap. The world glorifies urgency, fast results, instant responses. But the one who rushes is the one who loses sight of power. Every move you make in desperation costs you control. The strongest players are not the ones who move first. They're the ones who move last with precision. Timing isn't just strategy. It's dominance. When you control time, you control emotion. You create pressure. You build anticipation. You force the world to respond to your rhythm instead of falling into theirs. That's not slowness, that's supremacy. Most people act out of impatience. They speak too soon, react too fast, decide too quickly. And in doing so, they show their hand, they reveal their doubts. They expose their lack of control. But when you become comfortable in stillness, when you no longer fear waiting, something shifts. Others start to wonder what you're thinking. They lean in. They overthink. They make the first mistake because they can't handle the silence you mastered. That's how you start winning without movement. You let them fill the space you leave. You let them make the noise. You let them trip over their need to control what you already own. Discipline is not just about doing more, it's about doing less with intention. Every pause you hold adds weight to your presence. Every delay you allow adds power to your position. Time becomes a tool, not a burden. The impatient mind seeks comfort through action, but your power grows in restraint. You let the tension build. You let the moment ripen. Oh. And when you move, it's not reaction, it's execution. Exact, sharp, undeniable. This is where the real shift begins. You stop chasing fast wins. You start building inevitable outcomes. You no longer need instant results because you've made peace with the wait. That patience scares people. They can't read it. They don't understand it. They expect impulse, not calculation. And when you give them calculation, they don't know how to respond. They start to fold under the pressure they thought you would feel. That's when you know time is working for you, not against you. You become the one who doesn't flinch, who doesn't rush to fill the silence, You didn't just change the rules, you changed the player. You became someone they can't define, can't box in, can't use. And now, the game shifts not by force, but by the silent power of your transformation. The most decisive victories are won without confrontation. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it disappears completely while the opponent destroys themselves trying to find it. This is the most advanced move in the game, not to strike, but to position, not to react, but to allow. The loudest enemy is often the weakest. The one who threatens, brags, mocks, reveals their fear with every word. The real force doesn't need to be seen. It lets others dig their own grave, one impulsive move at a time. You gain more by not engaging than you do by fighting battles that drain you. You don't need to prove your strength to those beneath your level. You don't need to correct every insult or counter every slight. Let them speak. Let them expose their intentions. Let them think you're passive, unaware, fragile. They'll show their ego. They'll overstep. They'll mistake your silence for weakness. That's when you win. By not giving them a war, let them burn energy, burn bridges, burn opportunities. While they rage, you rise. While they chase shadows, you build walls. And when the dust settles, you're still standing untouched. The master understands the difference between power and provocation. Just because someone tries to pull you into chaos doesn't mean you need to respond. Silence is not surrender, it's strategy. Distance is not defeat, it's design. You are choosing to stay above what seeks to drag you down. That choice is where your power multiplies. You don't need to defend yourself against noise. You don't need to convince people of your value. Let your results speak in the spaces where your voice refuses to. Control is never loud. It's not emotional. It's not reactive. It's steady, calm, unshaken. The less you react, the more they question themselves. The more you hold your center, the more they lose theirs. You create psychological imbalance without raising a hand. The most dangerous person in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove anything. They already know who they are. They already know what they're building. They don't chase chaos, they outlast it. This is the final form of power, not to fight, but to outposition.